Okay, so I promised that I would come on here and talk to you a little bit about how to foster spiritual connection and a little bit of intuition building with your children. This is something that I think more and more people are starting to realize the benefits of things like mindfulness and things like just having faith in something larger than yourself. And how do we teach our kids that without necessarily instilling our own belief system in our children? And this is something that I think today's day and age and the generations to come are going to see things like spirituality, even religion, as something that needs to come from within, that needs to come to realization on our own terms. But how do we create an environment for this to flourish without kind of forcing our children to follow in our footsteps or to do things a certain way or to follow a certain religion or to have some kind of spirituality within them? So I've put together a few key points that you can follow. So if you're watching this, grab a pen and paper, write this down, or come back later and listen again. So number one, definitely 1000% is lead by example. So if you want your children to have a mindfulness practice, if you want your children to pray, if you want your children to have a gratitude practice, if you want your children to journal, if you want them to have these different experiences, do it yourself. Make it so that they can see you doing it. It's the same thing as a nutritionist, working with clients who are like, how do I get my kids to eat healthy foods? It's like, well, you have to eat healthy foods. If you don't want them to eat junk foods, you got to stop eating the junk foods, especially in front of them. So that is the first and foremost, is just making sure that you're leading by example and then get them involved. If you're journaling, have a journaling session. If you're meditating, maybe meditate with them. Bring them into your practice and what you enjoy doing, but not in a forceful way, and leaving room for questions and other possibilities for them. Let them kind of come to it in their own terms, but let them see you doing it. So that's number one. Number two is kind of a piggyback on this one, but it's just create rituals within your family. So, what are some things that you can do as a family that holds some sort of spiritual significance? Whether that is a daily prayer, meditation, maybe it's like weekly family reflections that you go through. Have special things that you come up with for your family as a unit and involve them. Don't just tell them to do something, create that space for them. The next one is encourage questions. And I kind of touched on this as well, but always, always, always don't tell them how it is. Tell them and explain to them what you understand and allow for them to question. It is so important, especially when it comes to faith and spirituality, to have your own belief systems, even as a young child. Children are so incredible. You wouldn't believe, actually, how much knowledge and connection spiritually they already have within them. And so it's really important to give them that space to ask questions and to be inquisitive and to seek answers. And as a parent, it's beautiful if you don't have the answers sometimes. Sometimes it's so humbling and wonderful to create that connection with your child and say, actually, you know what? Mommy doesn't really know the answer to that. Maybe we can figure that out together. Or what do you feel inside? What signs, what feelings do you get? What do you think? Right? It's a really good opportunity to create that open dialogue with your kids. So be open to questions. And then some of the other things are just very basic, like teach mindfulness, right? In all different scenarios and circumstances and experiences in your children's lives, always just stop and get them to say, like, okay, let's tune in. How are we feeling? What are we thinking right now? Wow, we've got big emotions right now. What are those emotions? What do they look like? What do they feel like? Let's just tune in to what's going on, even when it comes to food, when it comes to our playtime, when it comes to sleeping time. Just having that mindfulness happening and what's going on in their day-to-day lives. Another one is exploring nature. And this is so key. It's so interconnected because nature is spiritual. Nature is natural. It is part of our earth. It is so divinely connected. And so when we can tap into what is happening in nature, we can also connect spiritually. And sometimes our answers are provided to us throughout nature. So spending time outdoors, getting them to appreciate and the beauty that is offered by nature and the interconnectedness just of the natural world that we live in. So that's something really important as well. So think of doing things that you can in nature, like have a fire, have a bonfire, right? Go for a walk in the forest. Just go and play. Look at the trees, ask questions about the trees, learn about the different aspects of where you live and what the nature is like there, and animals and sounds that you might hear out in nature, and just get really comfortable being out with nature. Another thing you can do, and this is totally up to you, you don't have to do this, but you can read spiritual stories. So there are a lot of books out there, whether they are religious, whether they are non-religious, whether they're new age, metaphysical, like all these different types of books that there are available out there. I highly recommend screening the book to make sure that it is something that aligns with what you want to share with your child before going and diving right in and just reading it. But there are a lot of things within these books that provide lessons, right? So just on how to be a good person, right? At the end of the day, spirituality is all about not teaching, sorry, losing my train of thought, is treat others the way you want to be treated, right? It's about love. It's about connectedness. It's about being a good human being and being a wonderful person in society, right? So a lot of these stories, spiritual stories, can be about just life lessons that can support them in making the right decisions in their life, ones that would be appropriate, ones that would be being the bigger person, being a kind person, sharing and just being kind to other people. So that's another one. And then other things you can do is just like encourage community service to other people. So getting out there and doing community service, helping other people. It's part of that, like demonstrating through your own actions, right? Lead by example. What can you do to help other people, to show that you are a kind person? And just instilling those values in your children is really important. Something else too, other things that you can do is just really make sure that you are creating a safe space at home for open communication, for open dialogue. Even if they come to you with their own beliefs and values and things like that as they age, you have to hold that space to allow them to feel safe in your container, in your bubble, in your family unit. So, always ensuring that there is safety in the exploration of spirituality so that they can come to you and feel safe with the questions that they have, with what they're feeling and all of that kind of stuff. So, really, really important to avoid judgment, really, at the end of the day, is just come to them and allow them to come to you, knowing that they're not going to be judged. And then be patient. And this is like, that's the holy grail word for all parents, is just practicing patience with them and just recognizing that, spirituality is a very individual journey and they are going to go on their own journey. And maybe they're going to go one way and completely do a 360 and come back around the other way. I know I did. And I know a lot of people that have done that too. So it's just being patient with them and allowing them to navigate their own spiritual journey at the end of the day. So I hope that this was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions, if you find this interesting. I'd love to talk more about this. I might do a podcast episode on this actually. But let me know what you think. And if you have any specific questions that you're dealing with in your personal family unit, I would love to help you with that. All right. Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon.